until 1939. In 1939, we had to wear Jewish stars on our sleeves. Said Jude, that's Jew, and we got restricted from a lot of things. Um, the, they took the businesses, the people's business away, and um, some people that couldn't prove where they're from, they took away every, different people. And then came 1944. And in a way, we were lucky because we were occupied by the Hungarians and they were friends with the Germans. And so they let us stay at home. In 1944, it was Passover, and we knew something was going on. And there were some Hungarian soldiers, and the Jewish people spoke Hungarian, the peasants didn't. So if they wanted to speak to anyone, they would go to a Jewish family. There were these two soldiers, and they came to our house, and they told my mother that something is going to happen tomorrow morning, and they would like to take my sister and myself and send them to their parents so we'll be safe. But nobody believed that it's going to happen. And it doesn't make any difference because we probably would not have been safe. My oldest brother came to the United States in 1938, but we couldn't. Anyway, that next morning, they came, with the what you call it, the drums, to get up and get ready. They took us into the school on the floor, Everybody brought a blanket, a cover, that's where we slept. We were there for a week. Then they searched us. Like for instance, I had long braids. They looked in the hair if there is jewelry. You had jewelry. I had earrings that my relatives from America had sent earrings when I was born. And they couldn't open up because they were never opened before. I wore them all the time. They took I forget the words. They cut them off, and took them out of my ears. And anyway, we were there. And then they sent us to the nearest city, what was called Bunkach. And they put us in a brick factory. They were making bricks. And the sheds that they were drying the bricks, that's where we were living. And we were there for about 4 weeks. And there was my parents, my sister, and one of my brothers, and my grandparents, and my aunt. And um, my grandfather, as soon as we got to the ghetto, they shaved his beard, and he as soon as they shaved his beard, he looked like he's not he never walked again. He got sick, and in no time he died. Well, when he died, the rabbi said, "Don't cry, children. At least he'll have a grave, and we don't know where we are going." So, anyway, he died, and about a week later, we were sent by train, uh, freight train, not passenger train, and we didn't know where we were going. Again, sitting on the floor, and my grandmother was there, and we were trying to protect her, and we stood around her. Nobody should bother her, and it took about 3 or 4 days until we got to Auschwitz, where the, there was a big sign, Arbeit macht frei. Work makes you free, gives you freedom. And when after the train stopped and everybody down, don't take your luggage, don't your bundles, everything is going to be delivered to you. Got out of the train, right away separated the men from the women. And there were the Jewish boys that were helping there. They were saying, young mothers give their children to your mothers, but they weren't supposed to be saying anything to us. Anyway, we got to a place where, I don't know if you could heard of Mangala, Dr. Mangala. And it was selections. And old people and children go one way, and young people go another way. And we were like with families from our little town that we were very friendly. And they got to my grandmother, and he sent my grandmother to the left, and he sent my mother to the right. And my mother said, I have to take care of my mother. So he took this other woman that was younger than my mother. You take care of this, and my mother to the right. Anyway, we were separated. Never had a chance to say goodbye to my father or my brother. But we all, like all my father said, and all fathers said that when this is over, we go home, we meet at home. And then we were put into a barrack and like do nothing. A couple of days later, we got tattooed. I don't know if I have a number. I did not have a name. I just had a number. The number is 86623. My mother was 24, and my sister was 25. We always took my mother in the middle. We always watched her. And then they put us to work by the crematorium. And we were sorting what people brought in. So, in a way, that wasn't too bad because people had in their pockets cookies, um, blocks of sugar, crackers, you know, and we had some supplement to our food. The food was coffee, black coffee in the morning, slice of bread about an inch thick, and that was breakfast. But the bread was the bread was for the whole day. And when we came from work, there was soup. The soup consisted of potato peel, um, any kind of peel, but nothing that was good for us. The work was 12 hours a day. And we did that for a while. For we got there in May, and we did that until about the end of October. And then things started um, because the Russians came closer. So anyway, twice a week we were getting showers, and we never knew which way we'll get out. One way to work, the other way, whatever. And then we went. Um, in October, the crematorium stopped working because there was an uprising or whatever. The Russians were too close. We had to do, we were weaving ropes for the when they were getting out of the airplane, you know, we were weaving those ropes, and it was hard work. My mother couldn't keep up. So I did it, my sister and I. My sister didn't do too well either because when she was a teenager, she got TB, and like she was a little bent and pale. And then one day they had a selection. Twice a week there was a selection. And they selected my sister. So then we didn't know what was going to happen to her. And my mother and I were together. after that, uh, again, they made a selection, and my mother, we were separated. This other family, there were three sisters, and we always stuck together. So one of the sisters that I was friendly with since childhood and I were separated from the others. But my mother, my aunt, and the other two sisters were separate. So my friend and I were transferred to Slovakia to a factory where we were making telephones, radios. We needed to solder skinny little, for the telephones. They needed someone that has good movements in their hands. Anyway, and that wasn't so terribly bad either because that was a work camp, not like Auschwitz. And we worked indoors. And even though we were under strict supervision and all that, but we were like a German forced laborer and a Jewish girl, And it went on for, until April. But then I never thought that my mother is going to survive. And then in April, one day we're getting ready to go to work, and there is nobody around. For roll call, nobody. And a little later, the director of the camp came in, and she said, and everybody was running to their place because we had to be 5 in a row, and the same people couldn't be changed or anything. And she said, "Stay where you are. I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is the war is over. You're free to go. The bad news is the camp was like up on a hill, and on the bottom of the hill was a train station. And she said, look down there and you'll see angry soldiers because they lost the war. And if they'll see one of you, they'll be shooting." The food is free. It's potatoes, it's beets, it's, all stuff like that. Don't eat it raw. Don't eat too much because you'll get sick and you'll die. So here we are free and we are not. But there were Czech forced laborers, and they worked 5 days, and for weekend they went home. They came, from different towns, different people, and took people to their towns, where they treated us very well. They gave us, like, the first couple of days, a week or so, if they gave us if they gave us bread, they gave us the butter, just about touching the bread because it shouldn't be rich. They gave us potatoes without anything on it. They gave us milk, it was diluted with water. Nothing rich, nothing. And they were, we were there for about 3 weeks. And in the 3 weeks, as I said, they treated us well. I was a dressmaker before the war. They gave me material, and I made a dress for myself and a dress for my friend. And they bought us shoes. And by then, our hair grew in because in Auschwitz you had no hair, shaved off. And we started home. They could have stayed there. They accepted us to make it our home with them, the people. But we decided we can't do that. We have to go see if we are alone or we have somebody. So we started out home and got on the train, and you go. The train was going like a couple hours a day and stopped for a day. And on the train we had a problem. The Russians, you had to hide from them because they were raping people. Anyway, after a few days we got to a big city, Bratislava. You heard of it? Bratislava. And I looked out the window and I said to my friend, let's get off the train. I see a lot of survivors. And it was not difficult to tell who's a survivor. The way we looked and the way we looked good already, but and the way we dressed, that is a survivor. So anyway, and she says, no, my father said we head home. I said, so did my father. But I said to her, you had 2 sisters and a brother. She knew that her mother was not around. You have 2 sisters and a brother. No, she's not going. And I just felt I need to. I need to go. I can't stay on the train. I have to get off. And she said, if that's what you want to do, do it. I'm not. Okay. I got off the train, and in the station, there is a woman, and she said to me, are you, like there she was standing, are you I.D. Miller? I says, yes. She says, oh, your mother. I says, what's with my mother? She says, she's here. And like, my mother is here. Where is she? She says, just go and you'll find her. Well, I went out and there's a girl from a neighboring town coming to me. She says, follow me. I follow her. And then I see a young man is running towards me, with his arms. And in back of him, my mother was always kind of not fat, but if you know what Jewish means, saftig. And she looked like a bag of bones. Well, that's something unbelievable. That morning, my mother was going for breakfast, and my brother got there. She was going for lunch because UJA had all these places. And I was there. People were laughing and crying, and that my mother, a mother has 2 children. It's a family. Meantime, the other 2 sisters they saw me and they didn't see her. What happened to Hannah? So I said, oh, she's at the station. But the train didn't go any further. So she got off and they were running to the station. She was going into town. And that's how we met. And it started life from there, difficult. But we made it. And my mother lived to be 4 months short of 100. And she was, so we came to the United States, and here we are. And I have a beautiful family. My kids, and have 3 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. And I made this a short version because the kids are too young. Now, anybody has any questions? Would anybody like to see the number?
She has a question first.
She asked, how many years in Auschwitz were you? How many years
Or what?
in Auschwitz were you?
What? Just 1 year?
1 year.
Yes.
1 year.
1 year.
Go ahead. He's saying you can remove the tattoo if you want. You can have the tattoos removed if you want.
Yeah, what?
The tattoo, he said,
Yes.
you can get them removed
Yes.
if you want.
Yes, you can. If you want to, you can come over and see it. Here.
Go ahead. Can you speak German?
No.
What do you speak?
Well, I used to speak Ukrainian, Czech, Hungarian.
Everything else.
Yiddish.
Yiddish.
Of course,
Shane Nevado?
It still speak Yiddish.
Okay. What?
I speak Yiddish with my daughter.
Back in the day,
Did you smile a lot?
did you smile? Smile, he's asking.
She smiled a lot.
Then,
Back in the day.
When you
No.
were young.
there was nothing to smile
Smile
at.
about.
No,
That was he.
How old were you when you went to Auschwitz?
19.
19.
Uncle Bernie. When did you reunite with Uncle Bernie?
Well, we were in Germany in displaced persons camp, and he was in the army, whatever, not, and he was an interpreter. He spoke, my brother spoke a lot of languages, and he found out that we were alive. So he wanted to go to occupied Russia where we came from, but he was advised not to. Then when we went to Germany, displaced persons, that's where we reunited.
And then when you came to the U.S., when you came here, you lived around each other, right?
Where
Like when you all came to the United States, Uncle Bernie and you lived all
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
close together.
Yeah.
And the three sisters, Helen and
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, with those three sisters, we always worked together.
In New Jersey?
Yeah.
Did you come to New Jersey or New York?
New Jersey, because
You picked here.
my mother's family,
Oh, we're from here.
my mother had two brothers and three sisters
That were here.
here.
Got it.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
But
Did you know? Yeah.
but before they came to your town and they took you away, did you hear about stuff in other towns, like what was going on, or you didn't believe it, or
Though we knew that was going on all over.
right? So you had heard about it.
Yeah.
Did you try to escape?
There was no possibility for that.
Did
No.
anyone else try to escape?
There were all the electrified wires, and if some people, there were some that tried to escape, but they were electrocuted.
Yeah. No other questions? Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming and telling your story to this group of people. Really appreciate it. Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Should we sing you happy birthday? I'm not a good singer, so I don't know if I want to do that. He's going to start you off. Is this your song?
No.
Who are these people here? Daughter.
My daughter, my son-in-law,
Got it. And then
my grandson,
your great.
and my two great-grandchildren,
Yep.
my grandson's wife.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here as well. It's amazing. You've got a beautiful family.
Yes, thank God. I
Yeah.
am. I do. I
She's a beautiful, beautiful woman, and we're so happy to have you here.
thank you.
You're welcome.
It's just, it's